Anyone wants to do bhajan? Somebody share the screen, please. Keep going down. Let's see which one we'll pick. Maybe we'll do Vibhavari Sesha. Yeah. Vibhavari Sesha Loka Pravesha Nidrachari Utto Jiva Vibhavari Sesha Loka Pravesha Nidrachari Utto Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Nrisimha Vamana Shri Madhusudana Prajendra Nandana Shyama Putana Ghatana Kaitabashatana Jayadasharatira Yashodadulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandara Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bara Ravanantakara Makhanataskara Gopijana Vastrari Brajera Kala Gopa Vrindapala Chitta Hari Vamsidari Yogindra Bandana Shri Nanda Nandana Braja Jana Bayahari Navina Nirada Rupa Manohara Mohanabam Shri Bihari Yashodanandana Kamsa Nishudana Nikunjara Savilasi Kadamba Kanana Rasa Parayana Vrindavi Pina Nivasi Anandavardhana Premaniketana Phula Sharajo Jakakama Gopangana Gana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhama Jamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Nikunjara. Where is it? You went to, okay. Manasa Chandra Chakora Nama Sudharasa Gao Krishna Jasha Rakho Vachana Manamora Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidrachari Utto Jiva Bolo हरि हरि मुकुन्द मुरारी राम कृष्ण हयग्रीवा. Let's go to the prayer. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. नमो पङ्कजनाभाय नमो पङ्कजमालिने नमो पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा माह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवसादि गौरभक्तवृन्द. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, let's go to chapter 3. Okay, it's here today. All right, so let's Raga, you want to repeat after me?
Yes, sure, aunty.
Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi.
Karma brahmodvavam vidhi.
Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi.
Karma brahmodvavam vidhi.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Nityam yagne pratishtitam.
Nityam yagne pratishtitam. Karma brahmodvavam vidhi.
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
Nityam yagne pratishtitam.
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं
विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म
ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवं
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवं
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवं
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वघटं गतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञ प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Okay,
कर्म
hold on.
ब्रह्मोद्भवम्
There's a new student here. Suchit, can you please turn on your camera, please? We want to see you and we want to welcome you.
Should I continue?
Hold on. Let Suchit turn on the camera. Suchit, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay, go ahead, Pranay.
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम् कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्मब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म
ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म
कर्म
ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम् कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरासमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
अक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
अक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam.
Tasmat sarvagatam Brahma.
Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma.
Nityam yagne pratishtitam.
Nityam Yagne Pratishtitam. Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi.
Is everyone done? Okay. Karma Brahmodbhavam Vitti.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam.
Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma.
Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma.
Yam Yagne Pratishtitam.
Nityam Yagne Pratishthitham. Okay, let's do the translation. Krishna is saying regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So we heard last class about how sacrifices have to be performed, and through sacrifices we please the demigods, and when demigods are pleased, we are reciprocated with all the necessary requirements to conduct ourselves in this material world. And when they're not pleased, then we don't get back all the control, all the various in charge of all the various faculties of the governance will not reciprocate with what they have to give us, and therefore we will be in distress. So Krishna has emphasized that, and also given the example of how we should offer food to we should eat food also that has been sacrificed or offered as prasadam or as offered as bhoga to the deities, and then we have to take it. Otherwise, what Krishna says, if food is eaten which is not offered, we are verily eating sin only. Remember? And then he told how by doing sacrifice, rainfall happens, and because of rainfall, there is food grains, and because of food grains, there is sustenance of human life. So this interdependency of human beings with the demigods has been clearly established by Lord Krishna. And in this verse, Krishna is telling, how do you know what sacrifices to do and what are the various details of the sacrifices? So Krishna is telling they are prescribed in the Vedas. So Vedas are the texts or a set of literature which give us details of how to perform these various sacrifices. Now you might be wondering what sacrifices are in Vedas that I have to do every day. So, I mean, now we have lost with generations passing, but previously our ancestors or our maybe even our grandparents would do everything systematically. When they wake up, they had certain type of prayer. While while bathing, they would do some prayers. They would do Surya Namaskar. Then while eating food, they would have certain type of prayers. The way they would cook also with cleanliness, only after taking shower, they would cook the food and make sure that cooked food was offered, and then it would not be there were no refrigerators, if you all know. By the way, in the olden days, there were no refrigerators. There was no concept of freezing food or storing food for a long time and eating. So it was all fresh food, always cooked fresh and offered to the temple. Whatever each family had their own deities. Like some people, like for example, my parents' family or my husband's parents' family, they worship Lord Balaji. Right, so called family deity. Like that, some people might be worshipping Lord Shiva, some people might be worshipping Lord Ganesh, or whatever. So depending upon the family deities, they offer prayers, rituals, and all these traditions are followed. And those are actually coming from Vedas. Of course, they're not as detailed as what was originally in Vedas, but as time passed, those have been defined and they have come down as traditions and rituals within our family. But unfortunately for us today, we have been so far away from them that we don't even know what the exact rituals are and what exact traditions are. Therefore, Krishna is reminding in Bhagavad Gita to all of us that we have to follow the rituals that have been prescribed in Vedas. Then we might be wondering, so should I learn the Vedas now? Should I read all the Vedas? Should I try to read all the Vedas and get those instructions? But we don't have to, because as long as we follow our family rituals and traditions, every family, in the life of every human being, there are certain milestones and samskaras that need to be performed for those milestones. For example, when a baby is born, they do some type of samskara or ritual, right? And then they do namakaranam, which is like naming ceremony. Then they do, after some more days, when the baby is into few months, they do annaprasana, which is first time feeding grains. right? All these are milestones in the life of a human being, and they're all done per Vedic rituals under the guidance of a priest who knows what type of mantras are to be uttered, what type of prayers are to be offered, and what type of blessings are to be given to the child or the person who is being celebrating those milestones. So it's important that we don't give up those celebrations of milestones, because celebration is not only about sense gratification. Celebration is about offering prayers and offering the gratitude to these rituals and processes that are prescribed in the Vedas. And of course, the priests are supposed to be well versed with these Vedic rituals and traditions, because they are the via media between the human beings and God. Priests and the Brahminical priests, they are supposed to be memorizing all these, not only rote memorization, but they should also understand the intent behind those prayers, and accordingly act as medium between the human beings, ordinary human beings like us, and the deity in the temple. For example, when you go to the temple, we don't do directly puja, right? We ask the pujari there or the priest there to do archana for us or abhishek on behalf of us to the Lord, correct? So priest is supposed to know, supposed to be well versed with all those rituals, and we have to follow whatever the priest is telling us with the right consciousness. So one important point is, yes, Vedas have this prescribed instructions. And how do we follow those prescribed instructions? By at least celebrating our milestones in the prescribed way, right? And one milestone which we all commonly celebrate in our lives, what is that?
Birthday.
Birthday. Yes, everyone celebrates. Every year we celebrate birthday, correct? But the way, how do we celebrate birthdays? What is the way, what does celebration mean for us?
We go to the temple sometimes.
Okay, you go to temple, that's good. But then when you celebrate, actual definition of birthdays, you order a cake, right? There's no birthday without a cake, right? And then you invite friends over, and then you blow the candles, blow off the candles, and then you sing happy birthday to you. So in the three steps of buying the cake, blowing off the candle, and singing happy birthday, where is, none of those are prescribed in the Vedas, for your information. But we have been celebrating our birthdays like that just because we have not been aligned with what Vedic instructions are. We have gone so far off from our Vedic instructions that for us, now birthday only reminds us of blowing candle, cutting a cake, and singing happy birthday song. But according to Vedic injunctions, birthdays have to be celebrated with God consciousness, because this is a precious gift that we have got, this human life. The most important celebration of our life, we're completely missing to incorporate God in that celebration. And we can make that act of celebrating our birthday a sacrifice. And whenever we incorporate these prayers and thankfulness attitude towards Lord, it becomes a sacrifice. So the cake that we buy, we don't even know how fresh it is. Do you think that cake was made fresh for you on that day itself? Like when you picked it, do you think he made it then and there for you, which is because you ordered it? We don't even know when that cake was made. You know what? He makes the cakes and he keeps them there, maybe waiting for 2 or 3 days. And when somebody calls, I want a cake, that's when he writes the information or happy birthday, so and so on the cake and gives it to you. It looks all nice from outside, but it is not fresh. And then you bring that cake that which is not fresh, you bring it home, and on top of it, you put candles, you light them, which is very good. Light is signifying knowledge, signifying auspiciousness. But then we blow it off. Right? And then instead of that, and then after that, we do happy birthday to you. And I'm feeling so good when people are all singing about me. It's about me. Happy birthday to you, Aruna. Then I'm like, it's my name and I'm so happy. So it's sense gratificatory, right? It's surrounded. It's all about me I'm doing. Yes or no? Why should people sing happy birthday to me? I mean, sometimes you have your friends. I mean, we have not done anything for them in return that they have to sing happy birthday for us. People should be happy for us. Of course, they have to be happy regardless. But in what way have we positively impacted somebody else in their lives? Rather, we should be thankful to somebody who has been showering us with all the good things in our life. Again, It's not for you all to think, I'm dumb, I don't have to celebrate my birthday. That's not the point we're trying to make here. While we glorify ourselves, we also incorporate glorifying Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So instead, have nice sweet dish made at home. Ask your mom to make something, ask your mom or dad to make something which is fresh and which you like the most. They make that and you take it to your temple room and offer it to the deities there. Then it becomes prasad, bring it out and then share it with your friends. And then instead of lighting a candle and blowing it off, do an arti, light the diya and offer arti to the Lord and sing bhajans. And then just cut the cake. I mean, you can still have the cake. What is saying not to have the cake? You can still have the cake. And then sing some bhajans and then sing happy birthday also. Then it becomes Vedic injunction, something which has been prescribed in the Vedas. That's how it is celebrated. In fact, they pray for longevity that day. They sing praises to the Lord, asking to bless us with more healthy life. So that why healthy life? So that we work toward our real purpose of life, right? Not healthy. Yes, we want to be healthy, regardless. But the purpose behind asking for a healthy life is so I will be able to be conscious of you all the time and also do my duties well. And that's why, since Vedas are manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in the acts of sacrifice. Just by doing those acts, performing those acts of sacrifice, we are actually we are feeling the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the instructions of Lord Krishna are non-different from Krishna himself. So we are experiencing Krishna just by performing those activities. So instructions in Vedas are very important. Does this remind you of any verses in chapter 2? This verse? Are you learning translations too when you learn the verses? Go to chapter 2 and go to verse 42 or 43, I think. There is the verse there which confuses from the current verse that we're learning in chapter 3. But we have to understand that. Yam yaha, this only. Yam imam vacham, pushpitam vacham. What does it say? Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification, opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So here, Krishna is talking about Vedas again. And he's telling that men of small intelligence are attracted by the flowery words of Vedas. But in chapter 3 that we just read, the 15th verse, Krishna is telling, you have to follow the Vedic injunctions. So what is the difference, or what is that Krishna trying to convey here?
Here, I think it's for like self-gratification, but like there, it's saying in terms of praying to Krishna instead of like for self needs.
Okay. Any other perspectives?
I think in the chapter 2 verse, these two verses, these people think that there's nothing other than the Vedas. Like once there you read the Vedas, that's it. But that's not, there's more than just the Vedas.
Yes, both of you did it right. So both together is what we should be applying. These verses could not be taken independently out of context, because if you do only this verse, then you'll think, oh, we don't have to follow Vedas, because Krishna is telling that only small intelligent people will follow Vedas. Whereas if you read third chapter, then you will think, oh, I have to follow Vedas because Krishna is telling me to follow. But the essence is, yes, Vedic instructions are given. And when you follow the Vedic instructions, you are returned with good blessings, with good family, good birth, good power, and so forth. But if you are less intelligent, you will think that is all in all. Okay, if I have a good family, good birth, and good power, that's good. So I'll continue doing these Vedic injunctions. I'll do good act, all these rituals that they're telling, do this puja, you get this in return, do this puja, you get this in return. So that small intelligent person will be just bound to that, just doing those activities for sense gratification, as Sanvi mentioned. And now a higher intelligent person, as Anurag mentioned, will now think that that is not what that is not limited to it. Vedic injunctions are not limited to it. Vedic injunctions have to be followed, but not for sense gratification, but for sense purification, so that I can realize the Supreme. Do you all understand? So Vedas can be dangerous if we are following them only for sense gratification. Vedas can be advantageous to us if we are following the Vedic injunctions with the higher purpose in mind. Higher purpose is, yes, I want a happy life. I want a good life, a comfortable life. Therefore, I will follow the instructions in Vedas. But I know the goal of Vedas is to reach Krishna, to understand Krishna. So I will not stop at just getting all the returns of Vedic sacrifices and just keep stagnant over there. I will rise beyond that and work toward my real purpose of life. Got it? Everyone clear on that point? By the way, Vishnu, you were supposed to send me the summary last Sunday. Did you send it? I didn't get it.
Oh, I did it, but I forgot to send it. I can send it right now.
Okay, no problem. Send it to me after the class.
I'll send it, yeah.
Now, the 16th verse. Evam pravartitam chakram. Sahasra.
Evam pravartitam chakram
Nanuvartayati haya.
nanuvartayati haya
Aghayurindriyaramo.
aghayurindriya ramo
Mogham partha sajivati.
mogham partha sajivati. Evam pravartitam chakram
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
nanuvartayat na. Monty, can you say that word again?
Nanuvartayati haya.
Nanuvartayati haya
नानुवर्तयति हया
aghayurindriya ramo
अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामो
mogham partha sajivati.
मोघं पार्थ स जीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
नानुवर्तयति हया
नानुवर्तयति हया
अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामो
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
मोघं पार्थ स जीवति
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
नानुवर्तयति हया
नानुवर्तयति हया
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
नानुवर्तयति हया
नानुवर्तयति हया
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति
मोघं पार्थ स जीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
Evam pravartitam chakram
नानुवर्तयति हया
nanuvartayati haya
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
aghayurindriya ramo
मोघं पार्थ स जीवति
mogham partha sajivati. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam pravartitam chakram
nanuvartayati haya
nanuvartayati haya
aghayurindriya ramo
aghayurindriyaramo
mogham partha sajivati.
mogam partha sajivati. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam pravartitam chakram
nanuvartayati haya
nanuvartayati haya
aghayurindriyaramo
अगायोरिन्द्रियारामो
mogam partha sajivati.
भोगं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
evam pravartitam chakram
नानुवर्त्याति तिहायः
nano vartayati haya
आगायोरिन्द्रियार्मो
agayor indriyaramo
मोगं पार्थ स जीवति
mogam partha sajivati evam pravartitam chakram
Evam
Evam
pravritam chakram
nano vartayati haya
nanuvartayati yaha
agayor indriyaramo
agayar indriya ramo
mogam partha sajivati
mogam partha sajivati evam pravritam chakram
Evam
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
nanuvartayati haya
नानुवर्तयति य
agayar indriya ramo
आगयोरिन्द्रियारामो
mogam partha sajivati
मोगं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
Evam
एवं
pravartitam
प्रवृत्तितं
chakram
चक्रम्
नानुवर्त्यति य
नानुवर्तयति हया
अगयोरिन्द्रियारामो
अगयोरिन्द्रियारामो
मोगं पार्थ सजीवति
मूकं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवृत्तितं चक्रम्
एवं
Evam
प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
नानुवर्तयति यः
नानुवर्तयति हया
अगायोरिन्द्रियारामो
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
मूकं पार्थ सजीवति
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
Evam pravartitam chakram
नानुवर्तयति हया
nanuvartayati haya
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
agayurindriyaramo
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति
mogam partha sajivati evam pravartitam chakram
evam pravartitam chakram
nanuvartayati haya
nanuvartayati haya
agayurindriyaramo
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
mogam partha sajivati
मोगं जीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
evam pravartitam chakram
अनुवर्तयत हया यति हया
nanuvartayati haya
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
agayur indriyaramo
मोगं पार्थ सजीवति
mogam partha sajivati evam pravartitam chakram
एवं प्रवृत्तितं चक्रम्
nanuvartayati haya
नानुवर्तयति यः
agayur indriyaramo
अगायुरिन्द्रियारामो
mogam partha sajivati
मूलं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम्
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
नानुवर्तयति यथा
नानुवर्तयति य
इन्द्रियारामो
कायोरिन्द्रियारामो
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति
मोगं पार्थ सजीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
Is everyone done? Okay. Evam pravartitam chakram
नानुवर्तयति यः
नानुवर्तयति हया
कायोरिन्द्रियारामो
अघायुरिन्द्रियारामो
मोगं पार्थ सजीवति
मोघं पार्थ सजीवति. Translation. Okay. Is Suchit even participating? I can't see him and I don't see him also taking turns to recite. Suchit, can you speak? I'm sure your camera is off.
Oh, I'm sorry, Auntie.
Suchit, I need you to speak, Suchit. Okay. The translation says, my dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So, again, clearly Krishna is saying that we have to follow the prescribed instructions given in the Vedas and follow the Vedas. Otherwise, Krishna is clearly saying that's going to be a life of sin. So if you compare to the Sanatan Dharma, which is originated in that part of the world, on the globe where India is there, right? That's all the place where Sanatan Dharma originally began, right? And then as you move away from that place toward the Western world, you see that those injunctions are not followed, right? Proper there's no proper habits of eating, proper habits of sleeping, or there's no etiquette of doing all the different samskaras that we talked, right? And Krishna is clearly saying that if you do not have that type of life, then it is a life of sin. So now what does it behoove each one of us? You, as you grow up, it becomes even more important to understand what are relevant and what you should not let go of. One important samskara that is to be followed is the samskara that is done to the people who left their body, right? If somebody passes away, then there are some samskaras that are needed to be performed, which help that soul's onward journey smooth, like wherever that soul is, when the samskara is performed by us, because we are related to them and we are indebted to them, because we are existing because of our ancestors, because of our parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, right? If not for them, we wouldn't have got this body. So in one way or the other, we're also indebted to them. And that samskara is also prescribed in the Vedas, which is called Pindadana Samskara, where elderly people who have already passed away, our forefathers, our ancestors, they are offered certain type of there's some rituals that are done to help those souls onward journey smoother. And unfortunately, those type of samskaras, people are just letting them go. They will start this argument saying, oh, how will it even matter for that person? Is no more around over here, and whatever I'm doing here, how will that reach there? So what analogy that is given is, suppose you want to send money to somebody in India, right? What do? We transfer money in dollars here, correct? But then when it reaches them, it doesn't go in dollars, it goes in rupees, because that currency exchange happens and then amount transferred is in rupees. So wherever that person is, to that currency, it gets converted and gets transferred, or it gets there. That exchange happens. Similarly, in this material world, when we offer prayers and rituals in the language of this material world, with the right intentions and the right way of doing, then whatever credit has to be passed, or whatever well wishes and prayers have to be passed to that soul wherever they are, it gets transmitted there. I don't know if you all have noticed, your parents might have been offering, or your grandparents might be offering some rituals which are related to their parents on the day that they pass. Of course, they don't follow the English calendar; they follow the Sanatan Vedic calendar. According to that, they select the tithi. They're aware of the tithi and the timings, and then they go to the priest, and the priest says, "Okay, come on so and so day, and then we will do that ritual." So it's very important, as all these rituals should not be neglected. However, which jobs we are doing, or however far away we are from India, because that is what is given. And Krishna is not going to list 1,000, or at least there are, maybe let's assume there are about 20 main samskaras that happen in the life of a human being. Krishna is not going to give the details of all those. He's giving the overall instruction that Vedic injunctions have to be followed. Like how we talked about while eating food too, they do some prayers, because Krishna has the fire of digestion in our body. And when we offer prayer, then of course we are being thankful. It's just like if you have a car, if you have a vehicle, and if you don't reciprocate by taking care of it well, by doing the oiling, oil change, And whatever maintenance that we have to do for the different parts of the car, if we don't do it and we expect it to still work fine, it's not going to work. However, this is a very shallow example I'm giving. It's not compared to that car that we have, but just for us to understand for our small intelligence how, I mean, when we reciprocate, things will come back to us with whatever mood that we do, right? Otherwise, it's going to be just sense gratificatory, and eventually material nature will not cooperate with us, and it's going to be, that's why the predictions for Kali Yuga are with people losing all these values and not having, see, now at least we are understanding, oh, there's something called all this ritual that we have to follow. For us, we grew up in India, at least for half of our life till now, and then we grew up seeing all these around, right, happening day in and day out. So it was like by default, we were observing things happening around us. And when you observe and when you see things day in and day out, like how early in the morning when we wake up, the servant maid cleans the floor, cleans the front yard, and they put the nice rangoli every day. Doing rangoli is an everyday thing there. The watering tulsi is an everyday thing there. And you have grown seeing all those things. Tulsi is always in front of the house and it's worshipped. There's always an agarbatti and the badiya going. There's flowers put on it. There is ladies of the house don't take anything until they water the tulsi. So it's not like nobody sat and told us, oh, these are Vedic injunctions. You have to do all these things. Nobody told us all those, right? So we grew up seeing all those. So it was part of our, subconsciously we were watching them and we were seeing it as part of our life. But now here, since we came here, we don't see all those, right? You see people putting rangoli in their front of their house, actually mopping the floor, sweeping the floor in front of the house every day, making sure there's no dust and making sure that people enter the house without shoes. And if anybody enters the house, first thing, with the guests visit the house, first thing they would do is go wash their legs first thing. So people walk with their shoes inside the house, right? So it's harder for us to remember or realize the value of all these things unless we make that effort consciously. Because you have not seen all these things that I've told listed. There is only very few things that I listed. So many things that are there, which the house has to be mopped every morning and evening. It's not like you don't do it unless maybe weekly once we vacuum, maybe, right? Unless it's really dirty. Those are all, cleanliness is next to godliness. Every day there is puja in the house. Every day there is evening puja also, evening aarti. Sandhya samayam they do. When sun is setting, they do puja. When sun is rising, they do puja. So we grew up seeing all things. And we didn't, and for you all, you didn't grow up seeing all those things. And you're only being told. So it's all theory for you all now. Yes or no? When forget about the detailed samskaras that I'm talking about, annaprasana or whatever samskaras are there. Those you don't even remember or you've not seen maybe. But small details of how the life was conducted in Vedic culture, also we don't know. It's only theory for you all. And now with all this information, unless you strongly believe in it and strongly desire to do it, how will you carry it forward? Right? So there's something which you all have to start discussing with your family too, with your parents. Because Krishna says here in Bhagavad Gita that if you don't follow the certain rituals and the sacrifices given in the Vedas, then how? And then afterwards, when Prabhupada came to the US, because in the US, people who are born into the US culture, into the white bodies, they have no background of all this Vedic culture. At least we have, right? We have our roots to Vedic culture because we were born into the families which had connections with Indian culture. Yes or no? Vedic culture. But Prabhupada was preaching to people who had no connection with Vedic culture. And if he tries to reform them by telling you do all these things, it's going to be hard. Therefore, he says, just chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is going to beautify you. So he came the other way. So he first gave them Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then they started chanting with that real, seriousness, not just for the heck of doing it. They did it with real seriousness. And as they chanted, Then Prabhupada introduced all these, because they were, as they were chanting, they were purifying their consciousness, and they would reach a level where they can understand what Prabhupada is saying. Otherwise, they were like, what are you saying? What? We don't have to eat meat. We have to wake up in the morning. We have to take shower and eat. It will not make sense to them. So he purified them by first giving them Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting. And then he introduced all these other things. But for us, we are born into these roots. We have these roots. So we don't have to, for us, if we take on to Hare Krishna Mahamantra without doing all those, it will be like a lazy escapism. We are trying to escape doing what we have to do, and try and just telling that, oh, I will chant Hare Krishna instead. Of course, we have to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have to chant, but we should also live a life of Vedic culture. Then it becomes wholesome. It's not one or the other. What Krishna says, Vedas have to be followed, and by following the Vedas, you come to the realization that Krishna is the summum bonum of everything. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedyo, Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. I am the knower of the Vedas, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am to be known by the Vedas. That's what Krishna is saying. That he will tell in 15th chapter and from in future chapters. But for now, he's saying, follow the Vedic injunctions. After following the Vedic injunctions, if you are not elevating our consciousness to understand that Krishna is the supreme or Krishna is the ultimate goal of the Vedas, then it is half-done job and it is less intelligence, like how Krishna told in 2nd chapter. If you mastered 3rd grade and you learned everything so well and you say, I'm good enough, now I don't want to proceed to higher grades, I don't believe there is something called calculus, there's something called algebra, then you are less intelligent person, right? The purpose of the lower grade math, arithmetic, or the addition, subtraction, division, and mathematics is for you to able to understand that there is higher math which is used, in which all these basic concepts are used. But basic concepts are not all in all. That is less intelligence. So that's the essence of this verse. We should not get mixed up or should not be now confused about, oh, should I chant Hare Krishna or should I do the Vedic injunctions? For you all, the takeaway point is you do your job of eating prasadam, studying well, and chanting. That becomes complete. Because if you do your prescribed duty, which is studying well without cheating, without having the negative, without having anarthas, without being too much in the mode of passion for the sake of winning, because remember, our goal is to be, what should be our working style? Goal oriented and not result oriented. Should have clarity of the goal. What is my goal? There's no confusion about it. My goal is clear, and what I need to do for the goal is also clear. And I will do the best for that. I don't care about the results, because if I've done my best and I believe that Krishna has my best interest, then what am I having to lose? I've done my best and I believe that Krishna has my best interest. If these two things are there, then there is nothing called failure at all for us. Why? Because what is apparently looking as materialistic failure is not a failure at all, because that was Krishna's plan for me. So doing my best and trusting that Krishna has my best interest are the recipes of a happy life. Happiness does not mean only material success. Happiness means understanding that I am not in control of the situations that happen around and within me. There is something beyond me, and I surrender to that after doing my best. Not that I just surrender and I don't do anything. No, that is not. See, that's why we should not be selective listeners. When we come to Bhagavad Gita classes, it is not that I want to listen certain things and I don't want to hear certain things. That is not the attitude that Arjuna had. Arjuna was totally surrendered. Shishyas teham sadi mam tvam prapannam, he said in chapter 2, verse 7. Karbanya dosho bhavata svabhava prachami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. Shreyasya nishchitan brohitan me shishyasteham sadhi tvam mam prapannam. He didn't tell, oh Krishna, I like to hear these things. Can you please tell me only those things? And when Krishna starts saying, no, you have to, oh Krishna, I don't like to hear what you're saying. Can you tell me something else? It's not about what we want to hear and what we don't want to hear. It's about what is right. And that's what we want to do. 12:26. Any questions?
So for students like us, learning the Vedas is obviously difficult because there's a lot to it. So is there any way that we can earn a concise or shortened version of the Veda, or is that would that
Even
be
for us, we're not going to learn the Vedas again. Even for adults, even if you have a whole lifetime, you're not doing any work, you're just sitting at home. Even for them, sitting and learning the Vedas is not the goal of this verse. The goal of this verse is to get the gist of the Vedas and adhere to those rituals and traditions that has been established by your family and to not go away from them. That's it. It's not like now I'm going to open the Vedas, buy all the Vedas online or order them, and then now start reading everything line by line. It's to follow the Vedas line by line is impossible for us. But at least adhere to the main ones that have been enlisted by our family practices and traditions. That is one set of injunctions that we can endeavor to follow. The other set of injunctions are our daily activities that we do. Eating, which we can offer and eat, right? That is something which we can do. Let's do what we know first, rather than worrying about what we don't know, right? Eating we can do. I can have the habit of doing my duty well with utmost quality of values and character. I can consciously be thankful at every step of my life to every opportunity, to the elders, to every resource around me, to the demigods around me. I can wake up early in the morning and touch the Mother Earth and say thanks to Mother Earth. Thanks to the parents, thanks to the gurus, thanks to the opportunities, thanks to Krishna, finally. You do all this continuously at every moment, not being forgetful, then that is practicing Vedas only. Because ultimately, I mean, if you have to follow the Vedas, you have to learn all the mantras well, and you have to have the right priest, the right ingredients and all. But the gist of it is, are you able to carry on those traditions and rituals with the right purpose in your mind? That's why I'm telling, talk to your family. What are the various rituals? Because those rituals are being lost. We're losing all the rituals. I've lost half of the rituals from previous generation to myself, because when I came here, I've not really imported all those. In fact, we're exporting our ideas to the Indians now, and they're showing more interest in the lifestyle and culture here rather than we getting the ideas of. When you talk to grandparents, ask them if any festival comes up, right? Then talk to them, talk to your grandparents. How did you celebrate when you were young? What did you do? What do you cook? What type of rituals do you do? Why do you do? Talk to them. Now is the time to ask, because after some more years, maybe you'll not have the opportunity to talk to them because they're getting old. So now when you talk to them, ask these questions. Talk to know more about your roots. How did they celebrate? How was it in villages? How was it in towns? In Navratri time, they decorate the Durga Mata with 9 different decorations on those 9 days. Why do they do that? All that has a purpose and meaning to it. And if you have no opportunity to all that, at least chant, not at least, that is the topmost. Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because as I said, when Hare Krishna Mahamantra is chanted attentively with an intent desire, that we start seeing things clearly. That means all these questions will be answered for us. So for you all, chant, depend on chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because that is prescribed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Incorporate 1 mala. If you're already doing 1 mala, do 2 malas. If you're already into 2, add 1 more on top of whatever you're doing. If you're not doing any, start doing 1 mala. That is like a magic wand for all of us on the path of spirituality. because it opens up things. Our vision becomes clear. Just like if I have a short-sightedness or far-sightedness, I have to wear glasses, right, to be able to see properly. So when we chant, it's like correcting that vision, and we'll be able to see things clearly. And that you all can experience, not that I can tell it. I cannot prove it. It's only experiential. Okay. It's past time now. This week I'm asking you all to write the summary, but you all are like giving me, okay, we did this, we did this, we did this. I want more of about what was the takeaway from it philosophically. What is that it inspired you? What is that you learned from this class today? I want it more like an essay where somebody, when they read, they should be able to read your mind as to what you understood. That's what I want it to be. I don't want, okay, we did this time, this, and this, and then we were done. 5 bullet points. No, I want details of what did this class mean to you? What are the takeaway points? How were you inspired? What did you learn new? And what are you thinking about doing after hearing this? A small essay is what I'm looking for. Rasigna, can you do that for this class today? Okay, and then I'm going to ask others. Until now, I'm not getting what I want so far. So once we get something which is what I'm looking for, then we will share it so that others also can write in those lines. Okay, thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare